Compassion, responsibility, action. Love for animals does not end with simply taking care of them. It also includes protecting their health, their welfare, and ensuring that they are not neglected in our communities. From responsible pet ownership to stray animal welfare and to the growing threats facing urban wildlife, the call for stronger action continues. Tonight, we talk about the steps toward a more humane treatment of animals and a more responsible relationship with nature. I'm Angelique Lazo, and this is In Person. Ito ang In Person. Our guest tonight is a known animal welfare advocate who has long been pushing for responsible pet ownership and stronger protection for animals in the country. She is the executive director of the Philippine Animal Welfare Society, or PAWS. Please welcome in person Attorney Anna Cabrera. Good evening, Attorney Anna, and welcome to our program.
Hi, thank you for inviting me, Angelique.
Yes, and so before you started all this work, so bago ka pumasok sa trabahong ito, paano ka nga ba nagsimula sa advokasya ng animal welfare? Ano ang nag-udyok sa iyo o nagbigay ng inspirasyon sa iyo?
We grew up in Sampaloc area sa Manila. And nung kami ng kapatid ko, maliit pa lang kami, nakakapulot na kami ng mga kuting na tinapon sa mga basura, naman in Sampaloc, So, I was always very upset at yung cruelty kasi these animals, pag hindi mo napadede yun, mamamatay na lang sila. And then walang option yung mga tao kasi yung parang kapon, parang hindi pa masyadong uso at that time yung spay neuter. And so sabi ko, the minute I graduate from college, we also wanted to prioritize muna syempre earning money kasi we're not naman that well off. So sabi ko, I worked in a bank and I volunteered for the Philippine Animal Welfare Society who was at that time led by Mrs. Nita Ontiveros Lichauco. Yung group ni Nita Ontiveros Lichauco is PAWS and puro volunteers kami. So we lobbied for the Animal Welfare Act para magkaroon ng batas kasi at that time nung nagsimula ako sa PAWS, wala pang batas na nagbabawal ng animal cruelty.
And it's so sad, the way animals get treated sometimes, And ngayon pa, meron pa mga video, bini-video pa nila, which makes it more horrid.
Ang ano nga namin sabi nila, mas marami bang cruelty ngayon? Feeling ko hindi. Feeling ko mas nabigyan lang ng spotlight yung cruelty kasi lahat may video cam na yung phone may video. Dati naman, yung mga members of media lang yung may mga video, di ba? So ngayon, mas na-highlight lang. Yun nga lang, minsan, imbes na real work or real affidavits para makapag-file ng case, puro sharing and sharing ng video, nagkakaroon pa ng traction sa social media yung nagpo-post.
Ang sakit, no? So, but again, going back to the time that you were in the banking world, bakit hindi ka nagtagal doon? Was your heart not completely into it?
Actually, matagal din, no? I worked in a bank for 10 years. As I was working in the bank, ako yung pinaka-active na volunteer sa PAWS.
So you had time for both?
Medyo barely. In fact, my husband, when I was offered by PAWS na baka you'd like to take on the job of Dr. Dog Program Coordinator kasi may grant from abroad, but would you be willing to give up your job at the bank? And sabi ng asawa ko, sige na. Kasi ano rin naman lahat din naman ng money na na-earn mo and then yung weekends mo na supposed to be with family, nandun na rin sa PAWS. So at least baka this time, if you focus on PAWS, makakaroon ka na ng medyo family time. So yeah, I was juggling both. But my heart was really for animals.
Yes. So ngayon, having now being the executive director of PAWS, anong nakikita niyong pinaka-mahirap o pinaka-karaniwang problema na kinakaharap ng ating mga alagang hayop isama na rin natin yung mga walang nag-aalaga, yung mga stray animals dyan sa mga lungsod natin.
Sa palagay ko, there's a lot of sympathy now. Maraming mga animal welfare advocates for yung strays. But they fail to appreciate na may pinagmulan ng stray animals. Hindi lang sila basta tumubo sa daan, stay sila. Sabi nga namin, walang asong gala kung walang taong pabaya. So the root of the problem is irresponsible pet ownership. Aside from that, there's a lack of yung pagpapakapon. Maraming tao na kausap ko, animal lovers sila, pero hindi sila nagpapakapon ng mga alagang hayop. And if hindi sila nagpakapon, manganganak yung alaga nila. Pag nanganak yung alaga nila, hindi lang yan once a year nanganganak. Ang mga animals, they can give birth 3 to 4 times a year. So, bigayan ng tuta, bigayan ng kuting. Ito yung maraming takers pag kuting at tuta. But what you don't see later on, yung mga pinagbigyan nyo ng tuta at kuting, later on, hindi naman sila capable di ba? So, not much thought went into the getting of the animal. So, pag nagkasakit, pawalan mo na lang sa labas. So, dyan nagsisimula yung stray animals. So, I see a lot of kind and compassionate people na doing stray feeding, rescuing. But the rescuing and the feeding, this is just stopgap solutions. Ito yung mga tinatawag na band-aid solutions. It does not really work at the root of the problem. I think kailangan talaga, ang pinakamalaking problema ng Pilipinas, kailangan meron tayong spay-neuter, massive spay-neuter. May control din sa breeding or pet selling industry. Kasi the Philippines is still mostly a breed and buy country. So, kung nagsispay-neuter yung mga animal welfare advocates, pero wala namang preno sa
pagdami
dahil nagbebenta ng mga tuta. Nakikita mo kasi sa mga gate ng mga tao nakalagay, for stud. O kaya, minsan, sabihin ng kaibigan mo, uy, pwede ba i-breed mo yung aking Shih Tzu at saka yung Shih Tzu. So, sila. Sa ibang bansa, hindi po pwede yun. You need to have a license if you are to breed animals. And I think dapat doon talaga tayo mag-stick to.
Alam mo, once, yung isa naming dog, naghanap kami ng stud service.
Okay.
Alam mo, when we went to the compound, they had like 100 dogs in cages, each dog. I was like, paano nila inaalagaan to?
Yan ang tinatawag na puppy mill.
It was traumatizing for me kasi parang nakakaawa yung mga dogs. Alin doon ang pipiliin mong stud, di ba?
Merchandise. They're considered merchandise. And yan pa yung hidden na hindi pa nga na masyado na-expose ang cruelty ng pet selling industry and pet breeding industry, which is highly unregulated dito sa Pinas.
Yes. Okay. Is there any move from PAWS to push legislation along those lines?
Oh yes. So kami yung nag-lobby ng Animal Welfare Act noong 1998. Kami rin yung nag-lobby ng amendment noong 2012 na tinaasan yung penalties. I think the time is ripe na we are going to clamp down on pet breeding industry and also to have a parang agency that's really focused on animal welfare. Kasi ngayon, nakasubsume siya under Department of Agriculture. So medyo mahirap minsan to push. Wala siyang budget, walang ano. So these are the things that we will be pushing for sa Alaga Bill. We have the Alaga Bill which will be filed hopefully by Senator Kiko Pangilinan very soon.
Hindi kaya may resistance sa mga pet owners na they look at it as a side business or even, di ba, they're parang hanap buhay din nila itong
I'm sure may pushback. The same way na nung nag-pushback din yung may dog meat, may mga nagpapatay pa ng dogs before, noong 1998. Tapos sabi nila, culture na natin to. So there was a pushback then. So we realized na pag may maapektuhan talaga mga businesses dun sa ipupush namin, they would also push back. But, we have to evolve as a society. Animal welfare is actually an indication kung how civilized society is. Kasi it attempts to protect the weakest members of society, yung pinaka walang boses.
At paano na yung mga markets? Di ba? May mga kilala tayong punta tayo dito sa X market na ito. Ang daming exotic animals dyan. May mga isda, mga arwana, di ba? Meron di bang kayong move to have that regulated? Or okay naman so far, nakita ninyo?
Ang Wildlife Act, RA 9147, it actually clamps down on yung mga unregistered. Pero ang dami pa rin. I think arangke and yung mga the usual problem na hindi registered. The DNR supposed to monitor the wildlife, especially yung mga endangered species. No?
Yes.
Really, we want to incorporate that in the legislation.
Yung pong mga vloggers na nagbebenta rin, na proud pa sila. O pinapromote din itong mga, siguro, mga exotic pets, mga markets. Sometimes they also have their own, di ba, mga alaga na gusto nilang ibenta. Paano na? Nasisilip din ba yan ng PAWS?
Yan talaga yung, well, ang PAWS is NGO, non-government organization.
Right.
So we're not really in charge of the implementing of the Animal Welfare Act. Kahit basahin mo yun, it's the Bureau of Animal Industry that's supposed to be on top of this. Pero ang sabi kasi nila, undermanned daw sila, walang mga plantilla in position, so hindi nila maano. So what we do at PAWS is more of the advocacy and campaign side. And then we help with prosecution. Pag meron namang witness with an affidavit, bigay lang nyo sa amin and we will file the case. Walang lawyer fees.
It's a good thing you're a lawyer, di ba?
Pero I became a lawyer only recently. I just took my oath last year,
Oy,
2025.
congratulations. So
Oo.
Was it partly the reason why you
Yes.
took up talaga?
Yes, kasi one time, actually in the courtroom, I was trying to, the judge was saying, magkano ba yung aso? Sinabi niya doon sa witness namin. Ano ba yan? Aspin ba yan? O purebred? Sabi ng witness namin, ano po, aspin? O aspin lang pala eh. Pabayad mo na lang. Yun ang sabi ng judge. So I had to stand up in court and I said, I judge, the Animal Welfare Act does not distinguish whether a dog is purebred or a native dog. It doesn't call for payment of damages. Ito po seeks to punish evil treatment of animals, tong cruelty. Tapos sabi ng judge sa akin, who are you? Are you counsel? Are you a lawyer? And sabi ko, ay hindi po, taga-PAWS ako. Tapos sabi nung judge, sit down before I call you in contempt.
Ayan.
Only lawyers are allowed to speak. I think also may mali din ako kasi I just stood up and I think medyo na-overwhelmed, no? I think you have to go through the prosecutor. So from that time on, I said maybe, and there was somebody who said, let's take up law kahit evening. There was the LAE exam sa UP. Which I took. And then, ayun, so ngayon, I'm able to understand things better. I'm
And you
able
can
to
better-
argue better.
And represent
Yes.
talaga the cases that you bring forward.
Yes.
Ay, nakatuwa naman. Hindi mo pinlano sa umpisang-umpisa, no?
Yeah.
Pero it became a matter of necessity dito sa gawain ito. Kinalala ka rin pala sa People's Asia's People of the Year 2026, ano? Dahil sa iyong dedication sa animal welfare. Ano ang masasabi mo sa pagkilalang ito?
Oh, I'm very, very honored. Especially, sabi ng People Asia, this is the first time that an animal welfare advocate, like not a government official or anyone, just got it for the advocacy. And I think I'm honored and kahit na minsan, I really don't like being fussed over. Pero sabi ko, I'll accept it in behalf of all the people na nag-rescue ng animals, that they're doing the day-to-day and di sila na-recognize. We noticed that locally, mas mahirap. The ones who approach us to adopt a native dog or aspin are foreigners. And nung minsan kami nagpunta dito, ambassador ng Canada. So when we visited the house, bakit may Canadian flag dyan? Sabi namin,
Oh my
"Ayun pala,
gosh.
she's the ambassador."
Wow.
And so, they love aspins. Pero tayo naman mga Pinoy, they keep asking, meron ba kayong purebred dyan? May Shih Tzu ba kayo? Maliliit. Yun ang, I think there's the colonial mentality creeping in. So we have to really market the aspins. Kaya nga namin tinanggal yung askal eh. Di ba? Asong kalye yan dati. Change ng PAWS yung term to asong Pinoy. Kasi nag-notice namin, yung mga native dogs, they become second-class citizens in their own country.
Kawawa naman.
Hindi sila yung number one pet of choice.
Yeah.
Sasabihin ng mga tao, oy, animal lover ako. Pero yung pets nila, Shih Tzu, Poodle, Pomeranian. Tapos yung Aspin nasa labas nakatali. Sila yung guard dog, di ba? So there's this discrimination. So we want to do away with that type of discrimination and we want yung Aspins to be the #1 choice of pets for Pinoys.
Ayan, okay. Maganda i-push pa natin yan. At sa ating pagbabalik, pag-uusapan po natin ang panawagan ng PAWS sa mga LGU. Ito nga ho, nabanggit kanina slight pero we'll dive into this. Yung tungkol po sa libre at regular na pag-spay at neuter ng ating pong mga alagang hayop. Pati po yung mga strays sa pagbabalik ng In Person.
For our next food crawl,
Kain na tayo na kain. Tara, kain na kayo. Sige na, huwag na kayo mahiya.
I'm your food buddy, Leslie Ordinario. Ang kasama nyo sa another exciting na chibugan.
And also, it's not too sweet. Patrentaher!
It's fun! Ngayong linggo, 10:30 ng umaga.
Hindi yung parang unang kagat, tinapay lahat. Uy, para ka namang ano.
Dito lang sa PTV.
Nagbabalik ang In Person. Kasama natin ngayong gabi si PAWS Executive Director, Atty. Cabrera. Okay, kanina we mentioned something about being more aggressive, no? Or mas paramihin pa natin yung efforts to spay or neuter the pets or even stray animals. Anong panawagan ng PAWS sa, let's say, mga LGU para sa libre and maybe monthly, no, na programang ito?
Ang panawagan namin kasi dati ang approach talaga ng LGU, o pag may stray, hulihin, ilagay sa pound. Pag wala nag-claim, i-euthanize na yan, no? That's very reactive approach. So sabi nga namin, proactive. Dapat, kasi kapag marami sila, and then dumadami sila, then mas napapabayaan. Doon ang gagaling ang strays. So sabi namin, kailangan meron talagang spay-neuter. Ang problema, ang mga nag-o-offer ng spay-neuter ngayon, puro mga NGOs like PAWS, may non-government organizations, they come to the, halimbawa, pupunta kami sa low-income communities sa isang, like last week, nasa Pililla Rizal kami, giving free spay-neuter. But we will only be able to do siguro 200 animals for that month. And then bago kami bumalik sa Pililla Rizal, baka next year na yun. No? Hindi naman, so sabi namin, dapat may sustained, ma-integrate into the system. Kasi diba tayo mga Pinoy, mahilig tayo sa mga dole-outs, yung one time, big time, ganyan lang. Pero dapat ma-integrate sa system. So yung proposal namin na Kapon for All Pets, it's, we prepared an ordinance na sana mabigyan ng, for example, kunwari, sa Quezon City, may 10 private veterinary clinics, kunwari lang Yung 10 veterinary clinics na to, nag-apply to for business permit sa LGU, di ba? May mga things that they have to ask the LGU for. The LGU can give them mga tax incentives, mga rebates in exchange for 10 libreng kapon a month na gagawin sa clinic nila. You don't have to set up sa basketball court or what. Yung city veterinarian, mag-certify lang na, yan, indigent talaga yan from the community, hindi afford na makapagpakapon.
Sila yung pipili ng mga ano?
Oo, sila na. Tapos, pagdating nila doon, depende din sa vet clinics, they don't have to pull out their equipment and then, sasabihin lang nila, ito, libre kami, may slot, pupunta yung mahirap na pet owner doon. So this way, nakakapon kasi ngayon, yung mga nakakalat talaga sa daan, these are mga hindi po nakapon. And akala ng tao kasi ang kapon panlalaki lang. So yung spay, pambabae yan, babaeng aso, babaeng pusa, ang tinatanggal dyan, ovaries, ovaryo at matres. So in the scientific term, ovariohysterectomy ang ginagawa yan. It's done under anesthesia and it can only be done by a licensed vet na may training. So hindi lang basta-basta ginagawa
kasi ibubuksan siya diba?
Yes, ibubuksan, tatanggalin. Mas mabilis pag lalaki kasi testicles ang tinatanggal. And sa lalaki kasi nakalabas na yung balls nila Pero sa babae kasi
it's inside.
It's inside. So medyo mahirap. So maganda tong partnership na Kapon for
And
All
so
Pets.
far, I understand, merong LGU na in the process, umaandar na.
Yung Quezon City, there's a counselor, si Counselor Soto, who's trying to to push for it na ito yung ordinance, pwede natin itong ma-institutionalize. But some of the LGUs are soon to follow. So we want na ganito sana para every month. Kasi imagine mo, kung 10 private clinics, 10 free in a month na hindi na sila mag-ano, 100 yun for Quezon City. That's 100 for Quezon City na walang kahirap-hirap, hindi na nag-set up sa basketball court, hindi na nag-invite ng LGU, wala nang special setup, and it's there, and every month ginagawa.
Yan, oo. And then kasi medyo mahal din ang pag spay and neuter, diba, ng mga pets.
Yeah.
Maabot sa 7,000 pesos?
Yes. Pag babaeng aso lalo na, pag mas malaki yung hayop, mas mahal. Merong pumapalo yan, minsan 12,000 pag malaki talaga. Kasi yung anesthesia na ginagamit, general anesthesia to knockdown talaga.
Yung pet.
So mahirap. Pero dito sa mga low cost, katulad sa PAWS, we have a low cost na pag-aspin 1,500 sa babaeng aso. So that's really way below the going rate. 1,000 sa lalaking aso. Sa pusa, 1,000 sa babaeng pusa and 700 sa lalaking pusa. So ang manonotice mo, pag babae, mas mahal. Pag lalaki, mas mura. Tapos pag larger animal like dog, mas mahal din. Pag pusa, mas mura kasi mas smaller yung animal.
And does it depend on the breed of the pet, of the dog?
Ang gusto namin targetin, Aspin, asong Pinoy, and pusang Pinoy, mga native dogs and cats. Pag purebred, we would assume that you bought your purebred dog at an even higher rate. So, magcha-charge kami ng premium for that. At saka mas maselan talaga, Angelique, ang mga purebreds. They really need sometimes gas anesthesia kasi iba sa kanila brachycephalic yung
hindi sila
pipi, yung pango. So hindi pwede yan ng usual lang na kailangan ng blood test kasi minsan nga nanggaling sila sa mga breeders na binreed yung mga nanay, anak. So because of the inbreeding, pangit talaga yung
weaker na ang kanilang
katawan. System.
That's right. Because you're so exposed to this, I would imagine mag-aaral ka na rin mag-veterinary. Mag-vet medicine ka na ba?
I wanted to, pero sa queasy ako about blood and
Sige.
So kay Doc Azel na lang yun, yung aming shelter vet.
Alright. Paano naman nakakatulong din yung palaganap pa ng mga anti-rabies programs? Because I understand, tumaas ang bilang ng mga nakagat ng mga rabid dogs and cats.
Mataas ang rabies incidence sa bansa natin. I think we're 6th highest in the world in terms of rabies deaths. Sa lahat ng magtatop tayo, sa rabies deaths pa tayo magtatop. Kasi nga, dati ang ginagawa lang ng LGU, libre bakuna, so lahat punta, so tuturok. Tapos, hindi na monitor yon, walang registration, so mahirap. Pero ngayon, there's a more systematic way of doing it. May mga nagpapapet registration na I think sa Pasig meron na microchipping na nangyayari. So, mas matatrack nila yung mga vaccinated animals. So, definitely, rabies is preventable and we can stamp out rabies not just through vaccination but also spay neuter. Combo yun sana sabay na nagkakapon tayo tapos nagbabakuna din tayo sa rabies. So, sa Anti-Rabies Act ng 2007, may naka-allocate na budget for the purchase of rabies vaccines. Pero parang hindi yata na da-download itong amount na to. Kaya laging pag nagre-request yung mga LGUs sa kulang yung mga bakuna.
Okay, so yung usually sa barangay center hinuhold din yung mga anti-rabies shots, di ba? Okay, dapat maganda rin ba or ano nga bang nagagawa ng barangay pagdating sa population control din ng mga hayop sa loob ng kanilang barangay?
Alam mo, malaki ang role ng barangay, no? Kasi sila yung first point of contact ng mga tao about anything, no, sa information and educational materials.
Right.
Na dapat mag-iwas yung mga tao sa bites ng mga hayop. Kasi pag walang bite or scratch, walang transmission. So, first awareness. And then yung sabihin din nila na kapag may kagat, it has to be reported. Nasa Anti-Rabies Act or RA 9482 na pag may nakagat, dapat under observation yung dog. Tapos nire-report din sa barangay. So, malaki talaga yung role ng ating mga barangay officials. In anything, kahit hindi rabies law, talagang sa kanila nagsisimula. So, the awareness, they have a big role to play talaga.
And yun na nga, no, off the air we were talking about how some of the rescuers also get scratched by the dogs or
Ay,
the cats
oo.
and then they end up dying kasi binaliwala nila.
Yes.
Oo.
Pag nakagat tayo ng mga stray animals na hindi na natin sila na-observe, we would really strongly recommend get the full range of shots kasi hindi nyo na ma-observe yung animal.
Unless alaga mo.
Kung alaga mo, meron ka pang level of confidence na una, nabakunahan ba yung alaga mo sa rabies? So kung nabakunahan, medyo may 90% ka na okay. Second, may contact ba siya sa ibang mga animals sa labas o na nakagat din siya? Kasi doon lang naman ang transmission kung wala. And then, nag-away sila, hiniwalay mo, nakagat ka lang. So, you have the luxury na observe pa yung animal for the next 14 days. Kung walang decline, then the animal has no rabies. If you want, you can get the first shot and then just forgo the other shots kung nag-ano naman. Kasi definitely, a rabid animal or a biting animal due to rabies will die within 14 to 20 days. Yan ang general rule. May mga exceptions to the rule na may namatay like 1 month, but you will definitely see a decline. Or hindi normal yung inaakto ng aso. May mga na-rescue kami dyan, may rabies pala. Akala namin matamlay lang kasi natamaan ng sasakyan. Walang focus yung mata. Diba usually pag dumadaan yung tao, tinitignan ka, okay, pag may binag-offer kami ng food, nag-ano siya, wala nang focus. Kasi nga, affected na yung brain, yung neurological system niya, hindi na nag-register. Kumakagat ng bars. Tapos in 3 days, namatay. So we send, we decapitate and then pagpatay na yung hayop, no? And then send it to BAI for inspection. And
why does it need to be sent to BAI?
doon nila tinitignan kung may rabies virus sa brain ng dog to confirm that there is rabies in the dog. Mali kasi yung...
But what's the point? Namatay na siya.
Kasi minsan may mga namamatay iba because of some other infection or disease. But rabies, we would want to know if the animal died of rabies kasi kung may mga na-expose.
In contact with that dog.
Or natalsikan. Kasi there's also rabies transmission through natalsikan ng pero very, very rare na
saliva or whatever.
The saliva will hit pa your mucous membrane sa
But
eye.
you never know, di ba? It happens then.
It happens. Pero mostly bites and scratches. So, general rule, kapag yung aming mga tao na kapag na pag-rescue nila, meron silang open wound. Tapos, it turns out that dog died of rabies, we would have them undergo the post-exposure shots.
At talagang do not skip the iba-ibang, di ba? Pwedeng yung iba, sabi mga first shot, kung hindi naman
sa pets nyo. Kung you know the history of the animal, you have a level of confidence na siya, never lumabas, walang and then there was a reason for the bite. Like iba, natapakan ko po yung
nasaktan.
Yung tail nung aso ko, kinagat. Sabi ko, at least may reason. Kasi yung mga rabid animals, walang reason.
And for those who really get bitten, dapat ilang yan? Consecutive?
3 consecutive shots. And then depending on the area, they could be more.
Okay. Very interesting talaga, no? Especially if you are a pet lover. Kailangan alam natin ang lahat ng ito. Okay, at sa ating pagbabalik, pag-iisapan naman natin itong mga tinatawag na exotic animals. Medyo dumadami na rin ito. Exotic animals na inaalagaan. Mga animals na pumapasok din, di ba? Na hindi native sa atin, na nagiging invasive. Ano-ano nga ba yan? Sa pagbabalik po ng In Person.
PTV Consumer Watch, bantay presyo sa gasolina.
Babalik po in person. Kasama natin ngayong gabi ang Executive Director ng PAWS, si Atty. Cabrera. Okay, off the air we were talking about the role of PAWS pagdating sa mga exotic animals dahil dumadami din yan. And meron din yung mga invasive species na nakapasok na kagaya nitong Finlayson squirrel. Cute siya tingnan, pero apparently, nung pinasok siya ng isang dayuhan, iniwan niya. And then nakawala siguro because now meron sa Makati, kung saan na nakikita itong mga squirrels na ito. Ano ang role ng PAWS when it comes to mga ganitong usapin?
We try to raise awareness na keep wildlife wild. We don't encourage the keeping of wildlife. Kasi yung problema yan, nagsimula dun sa foreigner na nagdala ng squirrel as a pet. Tapos napabayaan. So now it became an invasive species dito sa Pilipinas, the country that you should just, if kung gusto nyo ng pet, dapat dogs and cats, domesticated animals.
Yes.
Pag wildlife, we generally want to leave them wild. Oo, para, kasi they have needs that we can't provide. They need to be with their own kind. They need to be in their natural habitat. Alam mo ba na ang Animal Welfare Act, kahit noong 1998 pa, it's considered animal cruelty if you destroy the natural habitat. So, sinama namin yun. So, yun yung entry point na pag sinira mo ang bahay nung portion of the forest, you can be charged with Animal Welfare Act violation kasi it's considered animal cruelty. Pero ang animal welfare advocates, we're more concerned about their treatment, na hindi sila nasasaktan. We don't really care about conservation. I mean, we care about conservation in a sense na ayaw naman natin ma-extinct, and we have mga agencies that look out for that, like the DNR, the Protected Areas and Wildlife Bureau. Pero sa animal welfare groups, we want to keep them from suffering. Like yung mga yung mga monkeys, mga macaques sa Romblon, dumami na sila. Ba't sila dumami? Na-decimate yung forest kung saan nakatira sila. So bumaba sila sa areas kung nasaan yung crops, so kumakain. So ngayon, nagkaroon ng ordinance na nag-offer yung gobyerno ng 200 pesos for the tail of each killed monkey.
It's so sad.
Pero di ba, hindi naman kasalanan ng mga monkey na kaya sila bumaba to destroy the crops. Wala na kasi silang makain sa taas. So, lahat ng problema can be traced back to man Kung ano yung ginawa natin, bumabalik.
Pabaya
So,
pa rin
ang gusto ng mga animal welfare groups like PAWS is to keep the conflict of animals and human conflict, to keep them at a minimum. Let's protect their habitat. Kasi if we protect their habitat, naiwasan din yung mga ganito.
But there are real pests naman talaga, di ba? Like kunyari, yung mga yung field mo, may mga daming mice, di ba? Na mga field mice matawag doon. O kaya yung mga ang tawag dyan, yung grasshopper na napakarami rin. I forget the word. Pero yun na nga, it becomes sobrang invasive na nawa-wipe out talaga lahat ng plantation.
Actually, it can be traced back also dahil we've messed up with
the
natural
ecosystem.
Like, minsan, yung field na yun, it's supposed to be forest, we cut it down, we made it cropland, no? So, for animals na so there's a lot of issues sa animal welfare, pero ang ng animal welfare is to make sure that whatever we do, there's no room for unnecessary cruelty. Kasi yun na nga, kaya nga tayo human, so humane dapat tayo, and when we treat any living creature, it should always be with compassion and respect.
And I noticed then, ewan ko lang pag may nahuhuling, kuminsan di ba mga ahas, no? Lumilitaw din yan, susulpot na lang yan bigla sa kusansan sa bahay. Parang hindi, the old way was talagang tagain yan, patayin din yan. Parang ngayon, hindi, tawagan na natin ng conservation, itong wildlife park, ganyan, para makuha yung animal Are you seeing that kind of change in the way people are behaving?
Oo. Dati talaga yun na nga, papatayin, it's really violence. Pero ngayon, called the agency, yung mga agencies naman, I hope they rehabilitate and then release it back into the wild. Kasi may mga nakita rin kami dun sa DNR na medyo nakakulong na perpetually ng mga rescued. Baka naman di na sila pwedeng i-release, pero I believe that there should be more efforts also in rehabilitating so that they can be re-released sa wild.
So, pag ganon, meron din kayong ugnayan sa mga wild parks?
Oh yeah. May mga nakukuha kami report about this, yung mga turtles na kinakarne from in a province, no?
Ba't kasi lahat kailangan?
Kulang kasi minsan ng education. Oo, doon lang. Minsan the people don't know any better. Hindi naman sila parang they're not being
cruel
deliberately.
Oo.
Parang kulang sa impormasyon na hindi na pala dapat ito kasi konti na lang. And to the credit of DNR, they have regional offices. They've always responded to us. Pag nag-ano kami, nakuha nila yung turtle na na-report namin, nasa palengke na i-release nila pabalik. So, this is one of the examples where NGOs and the government can coordinate with each other quite effectively.
And dito, mga dog meat markets, di ba? Gaano kalagana pa rin yan? Because I don't think they're visible. Parang dun sila sa mga tagong lugar na liblib siguro. Kasi people usually
come from a time na wala pang Animal Welfare Act. And ang only law before 1998 that prohibited the slaughter of dogs was MMDA Ordinance 8202 na First Lady Imelda Marcos pa had that ordinance and Metro Manila lang.
So
na-experience ni Mrs. Lichauco na kapag tumakas na yung mga dog meat traders, pag nag-cross na ng boundary ng Metro
Hindi
Manila,
na mahabol.
wala na. Kasi pero when we had the Animal Welfare Act, national na ito. So, yung mga nagdo-dog meat trade, tago, it's an industry that is illegal and underground. And then, madalas yan yung nakitang latest na nahuli na nagkakatay ng karne. They try to hide it na it's another animal. Goat meat, kunwari. Kasi actually yung goat at saka dog, magkapareho ang itsura eh. And what they do, kasi yung hooves lang naman ang, minsan
they cut off the hooves.
The hooves para magmukhang ganon. Pero now, the NMIS has a machine that can determine kung yung meat nun ay dog or goat. So, very prosecutable naman.
At alam mo kung ano pa, isang sure-proof way to determine. Let's say if a person eats dog meat, the dog itself, the dog will get mad. At talaga, galit sila sa mga taong kumakain ng aso. Naamoy nila, even if it's been for a while, andun sa balat. Yung singaw ng pawis.
Okay.
I think na-prove namin yan kasi nagalit yung mga dogs ko dun sa isang bumisita sa amin na kumakain pala siya ng dog before. Matagal na. Pero naamoy pa rin siya ng dog. So, meron ganun pala.
Illegal yun. Sabi mo sa kanya,
Oo,
illegal
Hindi
siya.
na nga. Before na nga.
Okay.
Oo nga.
Nasampahan namin siya ng kaso.
Oo, talaga. Meron ba kayo nasampahan ng mga
Oo,
kaso?
nagsasampa kami ng kaso for dog meat trade. In fact, dati kasi akala nila dapat dog meat trade or maramihan bago masampahan. But we were able to show in way back 2007, our first case, may isang student sa isang university who stomped a stray cat to death. Isang cat yun, which nobody owned. So sabi nila, hindi makakasuhan yan. Kasi una, walang may-ari ng pusa. Stray cat lang naman siya. Tapos, so walang magsasampa. This is the misconception. Na kung walang nagme-may-ari, hindi pwedeng kasuhan. Hindi totoo yan. Ang Animal Welfare Act, hindi nakalagay na kailangan may-ari. So even stray dogs, pag pinagmalupitan mo, you can be held liable. So we were able to file charges against that student and he was fined and may community service siya dito sa amin.
Ayan, mabuti naman. But I remember there was a time, itong one of our more urbanized areas in the metropolis, na yung mga pusa na talagang favorite ng mga tao. Nakikita lang nila, they're just there. Biglang one morning, naubos silang lahat. Do you remember that?
Oh yes, I
What
think
happened
BGC
there?
yata yan. Oo.
What happened there?
I think kasi when a community wants to take care of community cats, ito yung mga stray cats, there should be proper systems in place. Katulad yung Kabalikat project namin, this is the trap, neuter, vaccinate, and release. You have to inform the property owner na akakapunin namin yung mga cats, tapos meron kaming feeding, managed feeding program. Eh medyo na-carried away yata yung mga tao. They started taming them and feeding them regularly na parang alaga nilang pusa. So ngayon yung mga cats, they were lounging around na dumami sila and hindi agad nakapon in time, no? And then they were already climbing up on the alfresco areas of the restaurant.
I see.
So ito namang property owner, since they weren't informed that there was such a TNVR in place, they asked a pet control, which is illegal by the way. You cannot ask a pest control company to take dogs and cats because they're not pests. Ang mga pwede lang is mga rats, cockroaches, baka yun. Pero pag cats, hindi po pwede. It is the city veterinarian that you have to call for impounding if ever. So yun, nagkaroon ng miscommunication. So we keep telling communities na well, first of all, if they have proof that these animals were collected by a pest control service, we can file a case against them. Eh, wala. They were denying also the property
Pero to
owner.
prevent that from happening, anong
They have
pwedeng
to
gawin?
coordinate with the property owner para meron ding communication. There's a memorandum of agreement. The cats will be spayed and neutered. The cats will be fed outside of view of the people. Cats should not be very tame na lumalapit sa tao. Kasi pag super tamed ang pusa, talagang, nakaupo tayo dito, tatalo niyan kasi gusto magpakalong. So, we can't have that in a public space. Pwede dito sa shelter, o kaya sa bahay mo or bahay ko, because I love cats. Pero, if it's a public space like a school or hospital, we want the cats to retain their distance sa mga tao. Yung medyo takot sila. Tapos para yun ang proper way. So it's our Kabalikat program. For more information on this, we have it on the website ng PAWS, yung www.paws.org.ph. They can read about it.
Alright, okay. At sa huling bahagi ng ating panayam, pag-uusapan natin ang mensahe ng PAWS para sa mga pet owners at sa mga Pilipinong nagnanais maging responsableng tagapag-alaga ng mga hayop. Sa pagbabalik po yan ng In Person. Nagbabalik ang in-person at kasama pa rin natin para pag-usapan ang isang topic na talagang malapit sa puso ko, itong animal welfare. Ang PAWS Executive Director na si Atty. Cabrera. Okay, so paano kaya natin mahihikayat natin, pati ako tayo na, paano mahihikayat ng PAWS ang ating mga kababayang Pilipino na mag-adapt tayo, imbes na tumingin sa, di ba? Sa mga nagtitinda nito, or mga pet shops, ganyan.
Gusto namin mag-appeal na sana they can make adoption their first option. Punta sa shelters, sa city pounds, may mga aso, pusa naghahanap ng second chances. Mas malambing ang mga rescued animals. I think they know how it is to have come from a bad life. So parang mas grateful sila. We have received feedback na, alam mo, I have mga dogs that I bought from breeders and there's dogs that we rescue. Yung rescue na dog, parang mas
Sobrang grateful.
Mas loving, grateful. And then you help also the shelter kasi kapag nag-adopt kayo, it opens up space for us to rescue another dog.
Yeah.
And then you also save an animal from death row kung sa city pound. Kasi di ba, if they're not claimed, they really are euthanized. And dami nagtatanong, legal ba to? Yes, legal yan. It's provided for if they're not claimed, they will be euthanized.
As in, like, kunyari, ito yung mga magala sa kalye
Yes,
na wala namang nag-aalaga. Pag dumating ang city pound, kukunin sila. And for sure, after 7 days, they're gone.
Yes, some pounds claim na hindi daw sila nag-euthanize. Pero ang sabi ko, medyo imposible kasi pag tumawag yung isang barangay, ay may nangahabol na aso dito, they are mandated by law to collect. And if puno sila, what is their option, di ba? And yung iba naman, namamatay ng kusa kasi kasama yung mga may sakit with the healthy ones.
Halo-halo na sila doon. And siguro, I'm sure the budget of the city pound is not that big din naman, ano? So, pati
Kaya nga
food
sabi
and
namin, yung
everything.
budget ilagay sa kapon para preventive.
Oo. Alam mo, dun sa isang workplace, nakita ko may mga dogs dun. Yung nagpapakain mga tindero sa bangketa. One morning, wala na dun yung parang gwapo siya no? Pero Aspin, gwapo. Tapos sabi ko, asa na siya? Ay, kinuha po ng city pound. And I felt really bad kasi bibilangan nga lang ng araw yun. Sayang.
May kasi, Chase, kaya there's also public health side to it. Pag nakakagat kasi yung aso that you own, they can go after the owner and kayo magbabayad ng mga shots,
injections and all that.
Pero if it's walang owner, yan ang problema. So, who will they run after? And then, syempre, it becomes a public health issue. So, ito yung exercise yung police power ng local government. Yun ang problema.
Okay, ano kaya ang papel ng mga kabataan ngayon at mga pamilya? Kasi, well, there are people who are really pet lovers. Dinadala nila sa stroller, sila sa mall, Pero yung mga hindi naman ganung levels, ano pa rin yung pwede nating maipayo na dapat tamang papel nila in taking care of pets?
Responsible pet ownership, push tayo na yung hindi pinapalabas yung aso sa daan. Madalas yan palabasin mo yung aso sa daan, padumihin mo doon, tapos babalik din yan. Yan yung irresponsible way of pet ownership. We need to learn how to pick up after our pet.
Right.
Huwag pagagalain, have them spayed or neutered or kapon. And then, training should be part. Kasi tinatanong namin mga bata, anong kailangan ng aso? Ay, pagkain, water, shelter. Pero actually, nakakalimutan lang yung training. And training is very important and socialization. Kasi ang dami na namin nakita mga tao na, hindi ko madala sa vet yung aso ko kasi nangangagat. Hindi namin mahawakan. So kapag hindi socialized si doggy at hindi mo tinrain, hindi mo kinonsider as family member, nakatali lang sa labas. Sabi nga namin, naka-cage 24/7. Sabi namin dun sa mga iba, nangangagat po yung aso. Sabi ko nga dun sa isang tao, sir, kayo ba? Kulong ko kayo dyan 24/7, di ba't mangangagat na rin kayo? So, there has to be a consciousness na you need to take care of the dog as part of your family. Kasi paano mo siya madadala sa vet ngayon kung kinakagat ka na niya? So, responsible pet ownership, it's really a call. It all boils down to responsible pet ownership.
Oo. Alam mo, I don't know of the studies, pero observation lang, na like yung neighbor namin, may lalaki ng mga aso niya, naka-cage. Pero mo, Great Dane, naka-cage. Gusto ko siyang sakalin, pero hindi yung pet owner ang sasakalin ko, hindi yung Great Dane. Parang, kawawa naman yung aso, wala na siyang alam, di ba? Kundi umikot dun sa maliit na square na yon. Siyempre, tatapang siya, di ba?
It's very bad na yung mga tao nagkukuha lang ng animals for status symbol. Kasi ba't ka pa kumuha ng Great Dane? Hindi ka naman pala mag-exercise palabas, you don't run, you don't have a huge space, you don't have time for the animal, and yet they keep buying. So pag ganun, talagang you're being unfair to the pet. And that's what we want to improve, our conviction, prosecution of pet neglect. Nasabi ko nga konti pa lang ang nakakonvict namin for pet neglect. So there really has to be an awareness na pets are not, dogs are not status symbols, or pets or 24-hour burglar alarm systems.
Right, oo. And ngayong panahon ng social media, paano rin natin ginagamit ang social media para mahikayat ang mga kababayan natin na nagawing advocacy na rin nila ito, no? Itong pagmamahal sa mga hayop.
Yung social media is very powerful tool kasi it's free, everybody's on it, and then nakukuha agad yung attention. Dami pang marunong mag-TikTok right now. Sana they could promote adoptions to come to the animal shelter, to come to the city pound, and then adopt an animal instead of buying a pet. They can also volunteer for PAWS, lalo na yung mga young people who are savvy with social media. We can use that for good, na ma-encourage yung mga tao na to either donate, adopt, volunteer for the cause of animal welfare.
Ayan. At panghuli, anong panawagan mo sa ating mga kababayang nanonood ngayon pagdating sa animal welfare at community responsibility?
Nananawagan kami na yung mga tao na gusto nilang ng additional furry member of their family, sana make Aspins or Asong Pinoy your pet, your first choice. Kasi karamihan nga na bumibili or nagpupunta sa mga breeders for purebred pets. Tignan naman natin yung mga Asong Pinoy natin kasi they're also deserving of the love and care that we give. Yung mga nakastroller sa mall, karamihan dyan, mga purebred pets. Sana the day will come when the Asong Pinoy is our #1 pet of choice ng mga Pinoys. Kasi like Pinoys, they're usually the underdogs. And hindi sila masyadong pinapansin. Then siguro yung colonial mentality na, dapat mestiza para maganda, so dapat purebred, di ba? Pero may ganda at talino yung ating sariling Asong Pinoy. So love, save, adopt our own Asong Pinoys or our native dogs.
Ayan. Maraming salamat, Attorney Ana Cabrera, sa inyong oras at sa pagbabahagi ninyo ng mga pananaw at adhikain para sa mas makataong pangangalaga, pagtrato sa mga hayop at mas responsableng pakikipag-ugnayan natin sa kalikasan. Ano po? Muli, nakasama natin ngayong gabi, Executive Director ng Philippine Animal Welfare Society o PAWS. Ang ganda ng pangalan niyo, Attorney Ana Cabrera. Tonight's conversation reminds us that compassion is not limited to people. It extends to every living thing that depends on our care. When we protect animals, we build kinder communities, stronger values, and a more humane society. May we all continue to choose responsibility, empathy, and respect for life, because how we treat animals reflects who we are as people. At yan po ang tunay na mukha sa likod ng mga balita at mga isyong pinag-uusapan, matapang na humarap at nagpakilala. Ako po si Angelique Lazo at ito ang In Person. Thank you, Attorney Ana.